Hello everyone, it's Heligods here with a review on AccuRC Night Fly feature, version 1.4. Now, AccuRC, I believe, is probably the go-to simulator at the moment for realism. Let's see how AccuRC actually applies this realism into the Night Fly feature. So first of all, in order to get the Night Fly feature working, you have to load a particular model which has Night Fly enabled. So let's go into my models here, and I will select the Agile 7.2 which has the Night Fly feature. And you know this because you can see down the bottom here where it talks about night tail blades, night canopy, etc. down the very bottom of the list. Whereas if you look at a non-night fly model, you'll see that it doesn't have those features listed. So let's load the night fly model, and once that's loaded, you'll see that you've got a series of LEDs. I've preloaded this model with lights and blades. So in order to add different lights and blades, you'll see that there's a night light section on your component selection menu for this particular helicopter, and all you do is you just pretty much select, what you want using a similar selection box. You can see, for example, here you get to be able to set the night lights visible for either the canopy, tail, or skids. You can enable ground lighting. There's ground lighting enabled on the canopy lights, and there's ground lighting disabled on the canopy lights. So ground lighting gives you an ambience to whatever object is nearby the helicopter. But as you'll see further on, that ambience doesn't apply to every object. Okay, so let's have a look at the different configurations. As I've loaded this up, I'll just right click any light configuration. Now I've selected the boom in this instance, and I'll put on the cycle lights feature. So you can see it cycles between different colors. If you want to enable just one type of color, you just select the change lights button, and you can select a particular color based on your preference. Okay, so let's apply that. I like actually selecting cycling lights for the very reason that makes it harder to guess the orientation of the helicopter because it's changing all the time. So probably improves the training. Now you can see here that I've got one skid without a light and one skid with a light. So let's go to the skid without a light, and let's see how we actually enable that. We've got here skid lights. Now you can go right skid and left skid. Now using this object model, okay, that was actually enabled but it didn't show. Alright, so using this type of programming model, I can see that they can pretty much create night lights in any configuration for any model in future. So that's a very, very nice feature. Now let's go and see how this model flies. In order to select the Night Fly version, initially you'll just come up with a day view like that. You have to select scenery and select change scenery, And there's a night fly section on the bottom right hand side, just next to the select and cancel buttons, right, where it will turn that particular field into a night fly field. So let's select private airfield, as it's got a tree and it's got some grass. Okay, it's some tall grass. Now I've selected that. There is also, right, here we go. So straight away you can see that you've got the ground effects of the light, right? But disappointingly, it's no grass underneath it. It just looks like a black and white floor at the moment. Now that's yeah, it would be really nice if they had grass there. Now excuse if this model just suddenly goes off and dives into the ground. I'm using a DXA and I've had issues with it for a long time, and at the moment it's playing up again. The trim pots need cleaning every 3 months or so. So I probably got one of the old first DX8s that had issues. I'm not saying every DX8's the same. Right, so flying it visually it's quite appealing, and it, from the night flies, you know, it does look very similar to a helicopter flying in the sky. The only difference being is that you don't really have stars above you. So without the stars above you, you know, the model stands out quite a bit. And that doesn't reflect real life. So, you know, if they manage to have some stars up in the air, that would be great. Now the other thing is, excuse my dog from barking. The other thing is, as much as you don't have any form of detail on the objects that are being lit up by the helicopter, like it doesn't really look like grass there. If you go over to the long grass area, same thing applies. The ambient light doesn't really light up the long grass. What about the tree object? Let's have a look over here. Now I might crash, and I apologise for that if I do. But again, the tree object doesn't light up with the ambient light. These are things I think that the developer could actually improve upon. They would obviously be aware of those issues. I think, having said that, this is probably the best night fly simulator out there at the moment. You know, the feel of the helicopter and the dynamics of the helicopter is very realistic, in my opinion. The helicopter actually feels like it has weight, and not only that, it feels like you're really flying. Yeah, my transmitter's playing up here at the moment. Good on you, DX8. Right. So yes, I would rate it at the moment as a night fly. I would rate it in terms of flying characteristics. I would say, look, you know, it's very good. It's probably an 8.5 out of 10 for flying characteristics. I would say for night fly visuals, the helicopter again would be about an 8 out of 10 because it does look very real and you are able to configure the lights. The scenery and the ambient light, well, I would rate that probably a 4 out of 10, to be honest. I mean, it's nice, but if they could only just have the actual objects underneath lighting up correctly as a result of the ambient light, it would be a nice feature, as well as, you know, objects such as trees and grass, like the long grass, for example, that just disappears over here, and that's not really acceptable. Maybe this is different for different flying fields. I haven't checked that yet. So yes, I think it's the best that's out there, but there still could be many more improvements, and I am sure AccuRC are quite aware of that at the moment. They seem to be quite a responsive developer. You know, in other words, that if you have issues about something, they will respond to you and sort of give you a direct answer. Me personally, I'd like to see the objects lighting up, and I would like to see stars in the sky, and more helicopters with the Night Fly feature. I would like to see... oh, that's pretty much it, really. Yeah. More flying fields, definitely. Definitely more flying fields. We've only got 4 at the moment. And the multiplay. Okay, that's it now, just for the review of the AccuRC version 1.4 Night Fly feature. Thanks for watching. Heligods signing off.